I hate you.
You crazy mother.
Welcome to the official podcast of the Brewmasters Club, Craft Brews and Geek News. Sit back, pour yourself a pint, and let's get into it. Now here's the founder of the Brewmasters Club and your host, Donnie Gallagher.
Welcome, everybody. This is Donnie Gallagher. I'm here with the entire cast of the Brewmasters Club podcast, Craft Brews and Geek News. I'm joined today by a very awesome panel of Rogue One frequent viewers and a typical panel here. We are looking at Mr. Ryan Roberts. How are you, sir?
I'm doing good.
Okay. Joined by your lovely wife, Ashley. How are you, Ash?
I'm nice. I'm wonderful.
Excellent. And Mr. Dano, how are you doing, dude? It's good to have you back in Florida.
Hey, glad you're not here.
That's right. Well, it's really cold right here. Mr. Lossman, our final co-host, how are you, bro?
Doing good, man. Bearding it up here down here.
Excellent. Well, guys, just so you know, this particular podcast here is actually brought to us today by Audible.com. Get a free audio book and download a 30-day free trial. audibletrial.com/Brewmasters Club. Surf over 180,000 titles. Choose for one on your iPhone, Kindle, or MP3 player. That's all I have to say about that. If you want to support the show, please go to audibletrial.com/Brewmasters Club to actually reserve your title and start your free trial. Now, let's get into it.
Hell yeah.
We are the official podcast of the Brewmasters Club. We are here to talk about craft brews and geek news, namely some definitely good craft brews to check out here for the Christmas season. We've got your 12 beers of Christmas to help you survive your in-law nightmare. We're going to talk about a couple other things, namely Rogue One. This will be very spoiler heavy. We're going to start off, do our 12 beers of Christmas, then we're going to do our non-spoiler review, which will be very short than our very long spoiler review version of Rogue One. So let's get into it, guys. First off, who's excited to talk about the 12 beers of Christmas? I am.
Definitely. Right.
I see a lot of hands. All right. First off, like I said, we're going to fly through these. This list here was created from craftbeer.com. It is the 12 beers of Christmas. They start off with the Anchor Brewing's Our Special Ale. It's from San Francisco. It's a special ale known as the Anchor Christmas Ale. It's the granddaddy of Christmas beer, and in my opinion, it is the craft beer that has regained and reignited Americans' passion for holiday beers. Do you guys like any kind of craft beers? Because I don't know if the Christmas craft ales are necessarily any different than any other kind of beer. I don't particularly find any value in them. How about you guys?
Look, Donnie, the only Christmas beer I've ever had is the Sam Adams Christmas whatever. It tastes great, and I have it every year. But that's the only thing I've ever drank for Christmas that has Christmas in the label.
Has anybody had a substantially great Christmas ale?
Besides the one that we had, or that I had from Big Storm last week, the one from Craft Life that tasted like Christmas in your mouth, that was a great beer. Tony, I know you had that one. So
yeah. Well, they mentioned a couple of them. So there's a Christmas beer that's number 3 on this list from Great Lakes Brewing Company, and there's a Mad Elf from Trogs Brewing Company out of Hershey, Pennsylvania. Again, I don't necessarily think that I've had a really great Christmas beer until I hit number 4 on this list, which is the Celebration from Sierra Nevada, our unofficial sponsor. Have you guys had that one?
Great beer.
I've not.
I'll take that beer all day.
That Celebration beer. So the Celebration ale that Sierra Nevada has, it's just got a ton of different. It's got the nutmeg. It's got a little bit of not a cherry wheat, but it almost has that sweetness. It's like pie almost, but it's just so good. But it's a celebration, essentially what they called it. That leads us right into the next one, which is number 5 here. It's the Jubilation 19, and that's from He Brew, the Chosen beer out of New York. And it's a celebratory beer. It's on the brewery's anniversary. They release it every single year, and it's fantastic. It's made with 10 malts, 9 hop varieties, adding up to, again, 19 ingredients, just like they said, Jubilation 19. So that's a pretty cool one. Well, so you might find appreciation for this beer, St. Nicholas Bock beer. That's number 6 out of Penn Brewery, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Would you try one that was called St. Nicholas?
A huge fan of the name, the first portion of it. Anyways, love it. Did they go on to mention any sort of red beard or red anything?
Don't think so. No. But the next one. No, the next one we have on here, the 2 Xmas. Have you guys had that one from Southern Tier? Because I swear I saw it's a Southern Tier on the table there.
We've got some Southern Tier, but it's not their
The two Xmas. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, this one is unique, and it really will. It is the one that I always suggest people to pick up because Southern Tier is so popular, and it gets, you can pretty much pick it up anywhere. And this will definitely get you through the holiday season because it's nice, it's hoppy, and it's got a lot of flavor to it. It was introduced in 2012. And it's actually brewed with figs, orange peel, spices. It's not one of those overbearing red zinger type tea mixes, but it's got a really tight body. It's rich, it's creamy, and it's not unlike the brewery's highly regarded autumn seasonal pumpkin. So it's very different from the pumpkin. However, the Southern Tier pumpkin is one of my favorite pumpkin beers that are out there. Moving on to number 8, Santa's Little Helper from Port Brewing Company out of San Marcos, California. 10% alcohol, Laos man. This is a beer that's right up your alley. Chocolate, Russian kind of imperial style stout. It's really like a dessert / beer. Laos man, would you drink Santa's Little Helper? I'm sure you would.
It sounds good, but gotta be honest. If all of my beer was 10% and very dark and whatnot, probably pick something else. If I'm stuck between that beer and something else, I'm gonna pick something a little bit on the lighter side. But
Ryan, this is for you. The number 9, it's called the Sled Wrecker. It's from Notting Head Brewery and Restaurant in Pennsylvania, PA. It's a winter warmer that's made out of Barbados molasses and rum-soaked fruit. That is something that I'd like to try, and I think that you of all guys, I see your face. You don't think that your molasses and rum-soaked fruit would be a drink for you?
Oh, that actually sounds really good.
Yeah, it sounds really good. Sounds really good. That was number 9. Number 10 here, we've got 8 Maids of Milking from the brewery in Orange County, California. Basically, it's a crazy release that is anything except for a milk stout. It's an imperial milk stout meant to stand up to whatever Old Man Winter throws at you. So I can only assume that this one's going to be a very true to the style milk stout, where it's going to be very rich, extremely heavy. And just an all-around good drinking beer when it gets really cold outside. I would definitely drink that, and they're going to drink that. They're going to actually produce that through 2019, so that'll be fun. Continuing on, we have 2 left. Number 11 is going to be Santa's Private Reserve out of Rogue Ales in Newport, Oregon. This one strikes me as an unusual ale for the holidays, not just because it's so distinctively hoppy, but it is the label's raised clenched fist that throws me a very un-Santa-like pose, as in it's going to be very rich. It's going to be very heavy. It's going to be a little bit different. But again, this is one of those Christmas beers that you say, this could taste like anything. It could taste like nutmeg, pine, spruce. It could taste like a number of things, but I would definitely give Santa's Private Reserve a try if Santa, condoned it. Number 12, the last one here that we have is the Winter Solstice. This is from Anderson Valley Brewing Company out of Boonville, California, and it is a true nod to the roots of the holiday season. Though I highly doubt the Druids of 200 BC were enjoying ale's flavor of vanilla, this is an exceptionally creamy winter warmer, which I happen to like. When I get a winter warmer, I love it to have vanilla or that clove or that vanilla flavor. You don't see it very often, but again, for a winter warmer, I like it to specifically taste like something that has to do with Christmas. That was really fast, really furious. What did you guys think of that rundown of the 12 beers for Christmas?
I think I'd be pretty drunk.
Any of those stick out in particular, or you guys are just going to get on the next piece?
all together.
No, I think that was a great rundown, and I think that anybody that takes any of those suggestions to their family or to their Christmas party that they're having in the next couple of days, because let's face it, guys, it's Tuesday. We've got a couple of days before Christmas. Anybody that takes it there is going to be really well prepared for their Christmas dinner and for all of the family that they have to talk to. So
yeah, and
Yep.
I also think too that having, and I'm not a big craft beer drinker, but I think for people who are craft beer drinkers, this is a really nice like lineup for them to taste all the different flavors you were saying, and you know, especially if they have like a group of us sitting around a table, it'd just be a really good, like layout for them to have. So.
Yeah, no, I think it's a good list, and I think that thank the guys at craftbeer.com for putting that together. But now we move on to what beers are brought tonight. So I think that you guys can kind of lead the show because I'm drinking something. Of course, I'm in Indianapolis right now, but I'm drinking one of the Thotter's Sternline Stout, which is the one I brought from South Florida. So let's just move into what you delightful young chaps here had brought for the evening. Go ahead and give us a rundown, give us a run through. Tell them what you guys brought.
Oh boy. So just kind of trying to to make a little sense out of all of it. So for all of us, we decided to lead tonight with it is the Imperial Hell's Lager, or Heels Lager, the Krampus. That's a Christmas beer. It's got a lot to do with Krampuses and Krampus type apparati. Lovely little beer by Southern Tier Brewing Company. Awesome little logo. Really good time. We've got some of it pouring around. It looks like somebody tried to fashion the bottle top back onto this. That's adorable. Failed miserably, but it's got a big long story about Saint Nick being on the bottle there.
Tastes like Krampus.
Somebody's moving it. But magical holiday cheer. Blah 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 blah. Saint Nick, big red beard, always a good time. I got no issues with this. It's actually been very good. 9% by volume. Actually, yeah, it's pretty serious.
Yeah, it's pretty serious stuff. It actually kind of kicks you in the mouth right when you taste it.
It's like a horse,
but it's got a good floral accent at the same time. Good notes of freshness, a little piney. So, you get that accent there. Not quite like an IPA, but
I love
it's definitely a lager, but it hits you like.
I love to see a New York beer just coming at us like this with like guns out, suns out, guns out,
Have a
just
sip.
coming at us.
I will.
Full force.
Right.
I really do enjoy that.
Donnie, it's an amber color. It's got a very high bitterness. The aroma is pine and floral.
Yeah.
Notes of bright piney hops, and it's a crisp lager. And that's your Krampus for you.
Very good. No, it sounds delicious. I think I've had the Krampus before. I certainly haven't had it this year, but it sounds pretty good. If you guys are liking it, I trust your opinion. What else you got?
Oh boy!
Oh boy!
In celebration of the Rogue One, we've got the Rogue 8.
Ooh, spicy. I like it.
Big
I understand.
differential there, buddy.
It's very close, but several off. I mean, I don't pick these things. It's not on me. But
The only thing they have in common is Rogue.
yeah, what
Just
else
saying.
would you like in
Just saying.
common?
Well,
You want
How
something-
how hard do you think that the Rogue Brewery tried to get a Rogue One affiliation before this movie launched?
I feel like they went Dead Guy Ale, and then they went the other roads, and then they went I'm out. Like I think that's exactly what happened. So basically,
They could have gone Red 5, maybe. We'll see what happens because he wasn't in the movie, was he?
cool. Yeah, no, that'd have been great. And then they could be
Spoiler
like,
alert.
yeah, they could be like cool about all of it, but I don't know.
Are we cracking this open, or are we
Crack it open. Let me see how it is, guys. I need somebody walk me through this as you guys are opening this.
Brood Boy 813 is going to do the honors on this one, and we're going to pour it in. We're not going to mix it with the Krampus.
Oh, no.
So that's top
It's a little bit darker.
Yeah, a little bit hoppier. I mean, it better be because it's like Rogue 8, so it's way beyond what we are.
It's way beyond Rogue 1 through 7.
Yep.
What is the significance in the 8? I'd love to know.
Well, I can only assume it's brewed with 8 different hops, but
There was super, super yeasty in the bottom of the bottle.
no, that was our beer.
No, that was this one.
That was this one.
Yeah, look at it. Yeah, look at it.
Oh yeah. Oh, yeasty. Oh, very, very hoppy. No,
It's
very fragrant.
it's an 8-hop IPA. Yeah. As soon as you drink it, right away it hits you.
Is it smoother or is it a little bit more brash like a lot of the higher alcohol doubles?
It's smoother than the highlight, but hoppier, like a double or a. Would that be a thing?
That's a thing.
Octopus?
I just don't know if that's a thing for this thing. Is it the Bogala? We'll get into that in a second, I guess.
I love to get Ashley's opinion. She's not
Oh,
really
no.
a fan of IPAs, I'll be honest. But why don't you go ahead and give us a little sample of that?
Snap.
Give us your no, because there's probably some ladies out there that are listening to the podcast that want to get into craft beer, and might want your take. on
Okay,
this.
so I prefer this, and I'm again not a craft beer drinker. On the regular, I prefer this immediate reaction over the
the
previous.
Krampus.
Yes.
Really?
The Krampus just hit my taste buds. Totally not where I like them, but this is more. I could enjoy this more.
Good.
But
What makes you enjoy that more than the Krampus? because the Krampus is not supposed to be as hoppy as.
Okay, well,
the
I love the whole
IPA.
piney thing on the Krampus. I enjoy the smell of that over the rope.
Okay.
So the
but-
piney thing would be called the floral hop notes. If you're just going to talk about it like it's like a craft beer podcast or something, it's fine. If, it's okay.
Yes, but I like this one more.
Good.
I really like IPA, so I think
I don't.
for all
That's
of those
huge.
ladies out there, or even guys that aren't into the really IPA-ish or hoppy taste and flavors, give it a shot.
And this one would be more brash and burly compared to others. So interesting take.
I'm trying to understand what it is. If it's not a IPA, or if it's a double that's real sweet, or if it's something that's just insanely like an imperial IPA. Go ahead.
Totally more sweet and nowhere near as bitter.
Okay, good. So it drinks more like a double, like you said, Ryan.
Yep.
Yeah.
It definitely finishes smooth, real clean, real fresh.
Yeah.
If you will.
Yeah.
Well, good. Well, those bombers seem pretty awesome, man. You guys got anything else over there? What else are you working on?
That's all we got.
All right.
The rest is the basics just to get us through the night.
All right. Fantastic. So, guys and gal, let's get into it. Rogue One. Woo! Yeah.
What happened? And what are we like now? That's what I want to know.
What do you want to know?
I said, what happened and what are we like now? Because that was a crazy movie.
That was a crazy movie. All right. Well, let me just properly walk us into this. All right. So the whole panel here has now actually seen Rogue One, a Star Wars story. It's the first standalone movie on the Star Wars story, for the Star Wars story, setting up Han Solo, possible Obi-Wan, Boba Fett, everything else that could be. But what and will the panel reflect on for this particular movie? What do we predict? And what kind of tidbits and spoilers or things can we give away here that will actually lead to us further enjoying the Star Wars saga as a complete story? First off, let me just tell you right now, we're going to do about 5, maybe 10 minutes of non-spoilers, and then we're going to go into 28 different points that tie this movie into the other movies and or definitely possible spoilers that are going to destroy any other kind of inclinings that you may have had if you have not seen this movie. So for the next 5 minute bros, what I'm going to ask you is some very objective questions, and what I need for you to do is answer nicely, answer unspoiler free. So we're not doing the spoilers right now, okay? This is your first warning. No spoilers. First off, initial takes, guys. Think of all the movies that you've seen, Ryan, Ashley included. What is your feedback on this particular movie? I'll start with you. No spoilers.
I loved it for the integrity of the way that they made it look like a vintage film. I was intrigued. I was captivated. And honestly, that's what I've been missing for years in all of movies that have been made since like 2005. I'll put it on the spot. I thought they did a great job of making it look old and before the original episode 1, which is now episode 4. But also, I feel like they didn't make it like really over digitized like in the newer 1, 2, and 3. So I loved it.
So Ryan, we're on that point right there though, because I watched it with my father-in-law who had no idea. He walked into as a clean slate. He saw Force Awakens and he saw this movie. He said something very similar, but yet very different. So you said that they made it look like a vintage movie. Just a little backstory, and again, this is not spoiler, but when Gareth Edwards shot this movie, he also filmed movies like Godzilla and The Thin Red Line. So he shot it from an angle as what you would see if you were sitting there. So he shot it with a camera, not being over top watching what's going on, but yet a very eye level camera, which made it very gritty and more like a war film. Did you get that kind of personification from the shooting style, or was it just like a vintage film? Because that's two different pieces there, but I'd love to know your opinion.
I would say both, but I would also say that the material look for the way that the actors were dressed also played a big part in that vintage look. They didn't look overly fashionable, like, what is it, Queen Amidala, all that.
Well, there was a choice to that.
Predate.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. All right.
So it didn't predate.
All right.
Both.
Okay. So Dane, give me some of your insight there, man.
Yeah, I thought the movie didn't really feel like a Star Wars movie, and I like that. I liked that it felt like a suspenseful drama with some stormtroopers thrown in.
Yeah.
So just the feel of the movie altogether was really great. And it didn't, I don't know what the right term would be, but, you know, in the other movies where they have all the lightsabers and all the flashy stuff, this was more to the point, gritty. I don't know. It just felt the feel,
Organic.
organic. The feel of it was way different.
Yeah, the thing that it came back on the shooting style for me, because at the same time I felt that it was kind of weird. Like it took me to get used to, because no other Star Wars movie was shot from that same angle. So it was almost like face to face, where everything was real close, it was real tight. And it threw me off for the first maybe 10, 15 minutes. And all of a sudden I was into it, and I realized, okay, this is actually a gritty movie. So I agree with you on that one too. Like it kind of threw me off, and it didn't seem like a regular Star Wars movie. But then as I started noticing all the tie-ins and all the other connection pieces, you know, it really did feel like a Star Wars movie, and I gained that piece. Lost Man, tell me what your opinions are.
Yeah. I mean,
Man.
just sort of me. I mean, I definitely am falling asleep. I don't know. It kind of wasn't. It wasn't for me. You know, I love
Really?
it. Great. Yeah. No, it was cool. I love seeing all the bits and seeing all the, you know, sass talking sort of droids and whatnot. I mean, all that was wonderful.
Well, would you say it wasn't for you because it didn't have like the same kind of saga storyline to it, or like
Yeah, there nobody
all that stuff?
Nobody was struggling with a ginger beard. I get it. Like, I mean, that's where we all are.
I see what he's saying. It wasn't that same sort. Well, because it's not supposed to. It's supposed to fit the storyline, but it doesn't fit within the original 6. Same sort of way.
But see, it really, so again, this is trying to be non-spoilers here, but it really is supposed to, it's supposed to fill that void between 1 and 3 prequels, because this is essentially a prequel, and it's supposed to fill and set you up for the 4 through 5. So my father-in-law, coming into this, watching it as a non, you know, lore junkie like we are, he basically said, he goes, that reminded me of World War II. He goes, it looked like D-Day. It looked like there was a struggle there, and it set up that movie. And now I finally understand what Star Wars is all about, because what he said to me specifically is that, he goes, I watched the one that came out in 77 and the older ones. He goes, I never knew what happened or why they started that. So I was never that connected to it. But watching this, I can now realize why this whole turmoil started, and why Darth Vader was doing this, and why all of these things happened, because this movie kind of set it up in a way that makes me understand the struggle as to what happened here. So from that perspective, it's pretty interesting to hear all that and to understand that from a guy who never really latched onto them like we did.
Without giving anything away spoiler-wise, I definitely can see where he was coming from. Yeah.
All right, Lost Man.
The whole connection.
It was
It was dark. It was very dark. So Lost, we're gonna wake you up, man. Okay, ready? Spoilers now. So we're gonna go spoiler heavy. Wake up, Lost. Everybody, right. if you want to listen to this, keep listening. If you don't want to, spoilers are now. I don't know what time this is, but I'll mark it in the notes below. This is going to be very spoiler heavy. What'd you guys think?
Oh,
on your list of Star Wars movies, as in, like, if we had to list them all, where is this at? Is this on the higher side? Is it below? Is it lower? Is it below prequels? Where do you like this one in comparison to the others?
Out of 7. Out of 7, where does this rank?
8.
So you really liked it.
Were you that disappointed in it?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think
Why?
it was great. Like, I mean, a lot of the movie, I was just waiting around. I was like, that's cool.
Well, were you waiting for?
Are you sure you weren't sleeping?
I was pretty much waiting for either one of them to be like, oh man, they got chicken tenders too. And I was going to be like, oh, okay, cool. Like, that's kind of what it was. Like, the whole movie, I was like, okay.
So Lars was hungry the entire movie.
I wasn't hungry. Still not.
Oh, you were thinking of chicken tenders.
All right. Well, I
think where he's coming from is he was waiting for more of what we're used to when it comes to the Star Wars, and me being, you know, the most or the least talkative when we talk about this, I thought it was a great for any Star Wars fan.
Yeah,
to be honest with you.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. So let's walk through these, and maybe Lars, again, like, I think what happens is once you first see the movie, you know, it's resonating, because I got the same thing. Like, as soon as I left the theater, I wasn't overly overjoyed. I was just kind of like taking it in and processing it. And then once I really thought about it and started to compile my thoughts, like I learned some things, and I noticed some things that were different. So I literally have a list of 29 Easter eggs in points that will last through the whole movie here. All right, so I'm gonna go through these points. You guys want to just chime in as I kind of list them off? Is that cool?
Go for it.
All right.
Yeah.
So the first one, and you guys have to attribute to the Brewmasters Club here on this one. Who saw the blue milk on the table in Jin Urso's house when they first started that? Yeah. How badass is that?
We said it out loud. Blue milk.
So did I. So blue milk is a popular, drink that's in the Star Wars story. We saw it after Skywalker briefly slurped it on the first episode of A New Hope. According to Wikipedia, the drink comes from banthas. Did you guys know that? Blue milk comes from banthas.
Yeah.
I did not know that until I read this out. But so the next one is everybody's kind of rushing to get out of the house because Krennic's coming, and saw, they had this message that came through. Did you notice that Jin grabs 2 dolls from her possessions? She grabbed an Imperial officer and another one, but it wasn't the stormtrooper. That doll she left behind. That was pretty neat, right?
I didn't see that.
Well, the thing is,
I didn't catch that. No.
well, the thing is, when he goes, grab your things. She grabs her dolls like a little kid would, right? Like you got little girls, and she just grabbed 2 little dolls and she threw them in a bag. But the thing is, if you read that Catalyst novel, you actually see where Jin like physically puts those dolls together, and so she's putting sewing these together, and she has them on her little table, and she plays with them. And so, sure enough, when Galen says throw your shit together, she throws them in a little sack, and then runs out the door. So that was pretty neat. The next piece that I noticed is that when the mom, Lyra, was running out of the house, she handed Jin a Kyber crystal. You guys saw that too, right?
Yeah. Which at the beginning part, I didn't know there was a Kyber crystal, but then I caught on to it.
Her necklace.
So,
yeah, her necklace, because Chinook in the Jedi City Marketplace called it out, which is interesting. What you guys?
No purpose throughout the rest of the movie, but
well, there is purpose to that. No, there's purpose to that, and I'll explain it to you here in a second.
Okay. Yeah, tell me.
You know what I didn't understand about this though, Dane, and maybe you'll have a little bit more insight on this. The Death Troopers. Did you notice they were speaking a different language?
Yeah, they all sound robotic.
I didn't understand. It could have been because they're special operations.
So was it like encrypted?
And they're the special security force for that particular person. So they're their own separate thing.
Which seems to go down very quickly at every turn.
Yeah. Well, they were just all sounding all kind of like it was like I didn't understand what it was.
We kind of said out loud, what are they saying?
Yeah.
And that was really it.
Oh,
we didn't really dive into we didn't really think too much past that.
Sorry, we're still. My bad.
That's okay. I liked the Death Troopers, but I felt like they really played a Captain Phasma kind of role where they really didn't do a whole lot. They were just there, Yeah.
If you look in the lore, they're really great, but this didn't really show what they're truly made of.
Yeah, very much.
They're great.
I feel like they were very much underused. I thought one of them would have a flamethrower or something that would really do some damage, and they just didn't show that. But then again, the reshoots that they had, maybe they put stuff back to make it less bloody. You know what I mean? Like less in your face. So that was just one piece that I thought was interesting. What do you guys think of Saw Gerrera when he found Jin? Because he looked very different from when you saw him 15 years later.
Pretty mean guy.
What I took from him is I thought he would have a major role.
Well, he has a pivotal role. He doesn't have a lot of screen time, but his role is extremely important.
Yeah, and I know they picked him from Rebels, and I know what his lore is and all that. And I really thought he would have had more screen time.
Yeah.
So I really took from it is more. He should have had more screen time.
So the number 4 point that we have in our list here is that Saw Gerrera was actually trained by Anakin Skywalker, and that is a piece that is in Rebels, the cartoon, is that Anakin trained Saw to disable a tank in the Rebels cartoon series. So then many years later from that, Saw kind of breaks out of the Clone Wars and then becomes his own, freedom fighter, which is why he was such a thorn in the side of the Imperials and the Rebels, because he was just doing his own thing, which we get into here in a few minutes. But I thought that was pretty unique how he was such a friend. And again, in the book Catalyst, he plays a really integral role that brings it into why he made such of an impact on the Urso family. So it was really cool. The next one, so we wake up. What are you saying? The next shot that we have is that Cassian is in the Blade Runner type scenario there with the two asteroids that are kind of close together, right? That was a weird world.
Yeah.
We've never seen anything like that before. But did that not remind you guys of Blade Runner? Just in the entire kind of spectrum that they were in, that little cityscape that was real close. I thought that was kind of weird that it was so tight, but yet so different. He's bumping into stormtroopers and he was there. Ryan, what do you think about that?
It was neat to kind of see that kind of chaotic world, setup, if you will. So.
And he shot a guy. He shot a guy in the back who was an informant. So, what does that show you? That this Cassian guy is pretty much a badass.
Well, I thought he was a snake, to be honest with you. I looked at Last, I was like, this guy's a snake. But, that was my first initial reaction to that whole scene.
Felt like Mass Effect 1.
Yeah, it just felt. It did feel like Mass Effect because it was very tight. There was a lot of people going on, a lot of different species and aliens. It was really weird. That's why I related back to Blade Runner, because it was just so bizarre and it was so tight quarters. But he then again he was talking to this guy, got some information. The guy had a broken arm, and he's like, "No, I can't get out of here," and he shot him. Which you've never seen a rebel be the bad guy like that.
I don't know.
He did what he had to do, but that's kind of it was cool, but then it was like, wait, what's this guy's alternative or ulterior motive,
Yeah, because you knew within 2 seconds the stormtrooper is going to be on him, then all of a sudden it's going to be a huge deal. So I thought that was pretty cool. So then the next scene, Jyn wakes up and she's being transported in one of the Clone Wars turbo tanks. And Dane, you had to have noticed this. Laos, you too. That buddy was the HAVW A6 Juggernaut, which is the huge 6-wheel vehicle that they had in the Clone Wars. What do you think about that? Or do you think it is a repurposed tank that they're using now as a transport vehicle? Is that a possibility? Because they showed it in full force.
Donnie, the only thing I took from that scene was I didn't even really think about the vehicle. I was like, how the hell did she get to that point?
Yeah.
It didn't show Jack crap about how she got to that point.
Yeah, not how she grew up and all that.
Yeah.
But see, they explained it because she said that because they went over her rap sheet, that she was forging Imperial documents. She was XYZ. She's always been antagonizing the Imperials and fighting not for the rebels, but fighting for herself. So she's either some sort of smuggler like Han Solo. She was doing something else. She was doing something that was getting her in big trouble. And she eventually got caught by the Imperials enough to the point where she was stuck in jail and then sent off to a work camp because the planet was called Wabani. So she was actually being sent there to an Imperial work camp, which means that she was going to be there working in the mines or whatever they have people doing there, but was abducted by K2SO and the rebels, saved from that big tank, which I thought was very cool. I'm just wondering why they used that big tank that we saw in the Clone Wars to transport her. That was what I thought was very unique.
They probably just used the tank as usual. There's probably not a certain upgrade, just what they had.
Yeah, and that's what it looks like, is that they used it from the Clone Army and they just found a new function for it, repainted it, spray painted black, whatever it may be, and use it again. But that's a cool tie back, and that's a neat Easter egg that they didn't have to throw in there, but they did. So I thought that was fun.
Absolutely.
Yep.
So the next piece is the Jedi Marketplace, right? Where they bring in one of those scenes that's just begging for a ton of tiny references, a ton of high profile characters. There was guys like Dr. Ivan Zen and Poda Baba, which you guys saw, right? They're just causing a ruckus across the galaxy, bumping into people, trying to get their arms chopped off. You had to have seen those guys, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, those guys end up in Mos Eisley and Tatooine. They must have escaped from Jeddah seconds before it blew up so they can go get their arm chopped off on Tatooine, which I thought was very funny. There's also an RA-7 droid, which pops up in the Jawa sandcrawler of Tatooine, a down to X-Wing, which was really cool. And then your buddy Chirrut, which you said he noticed a necklace, right, sitting across from the hall there. He goes, hey, what's your do you know anything about the Kyber crystal? And that's what you guys were talking about, knowing that he saw that necklace without actually being there. So I thought it was pretty cool that he was force sensitive without being a force user so much. What'd you guys think about his introduction there, the blind guy?
It was cool.
Yeah.
Good different take.
You what?
He believed in it, but he was definitely not, a Jedi or anything like that. He believed that the Force would protect. And I feel like that kind of led him in the direction that he went with this, storyline to lead us into the next chapter of things.
I think he used the Force in a sense. I think
he can influence it. I think he can harness it, but he can't throw it like lightning.
Yeah, you can feel what it wanted to go, where it wanted to go for him. Like,
I think for him particularly, the Force, because he was blind, he used some sort of force to lead him and protect him. When you think of the Force, you think of Jedis, throwing people around.
Yeah.
Or Darth Vader throwing people around.
Yeah.
The Force Awakens, the video game. That's what you think of.
Yeah.
But I think he believed in it, and maybe he studied it, because you don't really know his background from the movie, but he believed in it and he used it in a sense. So he was a fantastic character, I thought.
I thought so too, because he was a neat guy because he like didn't necessarily control the Force, but he could feel it. He knew that Cassian was a captain without hearing his name first. He asked what the guy looked like, if he was a killer, which means that he was trying to figure out, because what he explained was that the dark side actually like can call upon someone before they commit an act like death or like murder, which is interesting because he was trying to predict, what these guys were going to do before they were actually doing it. So I thought that was really neat. But the fact that he called that she had a necklace there means that he definitely was tapped into some sort of Force aspect. And then the guy behind him, Baze, was his protector / buddy, which I also really appreciated, because you always got to have a buddy if you're going to be a blind man with a staff.
And maybe the Force allowed him to recognize maybe the dark side, or recognize the power of the Kyber crystal.
Yeah, at least I think what they didn't really explain in this is that these guys, and they mentioned it briefly, they said that those two guys, or that guy, is one of the protectors of the Jedi Temple, which is pretty much demolished at this point because there's no Jedi left. So they said that they're basically like bums now, living outside the Jedi Temple, practicing this ancient hokey religion, if you remember, from when Obi-Wan kind of introduced that in A New Hope, which is literally like 4 months from the point in the story that we're at now. They established that it's long gone. So this guy was literally sitting out there practicing this religion that doesn't exist anymore. So I thought that was pretty interesting. But we can dwell on that, for a whole bunch. Number 7 was the Two Tubes. Did you guys like Two Tubes at all? He was the nasty looking alien with the antennas sticking out of his head and the 2 tubes literally hanging from the side of his face. Did you guys see that? He was Saw Gerrera's guy.
Who's the prisoner with?
So that's Bodhi Rook. So Bodhi Rook is the prisoner, and he's the guy that escaped from the Imperials. But Two Tubes is the mercenary pilot who basically he had a breathing apparatus on his face, and he was the henchman of Saw Gerrera, and he's the one that grabbed Bodhi and brought him to Saw. And then he also witnessed Cassian shoot his man off the tower and things like that, which was very cool. So I just thought that Two Tubes was a neat guy because he was such a badass. He's kind of like the Boba Fett of this particular movie, because he had this kind of mystique behind him, but he was really not explained. So I thought that was neat. So moving on to number 10 here, we'll just say that everybody. Well, actually, we'll move on to number 9. Everybody, kind of in the marketplace there. We talked about Donnie Yen's character Chirrut and how he kind of had this Force sensitivity, but basically, he talked about how all the strongest people have hearts of Kyber. Imperial tanks, we found out, were powered by Kyber, which was interesting because we've never seen a power source for an Imperial tank, which was neat because the guys that were trying to steal them, which were Saw's characters, were trying to pull those Kyber crystals out of those tanks to steal them for whatever reason. They did a good job of doing that. We've never really seen that. And then all of a sudden, K2SO similar robot gets shot right in the chest. I thought that was hilarious because we had not seen much of him, but he's pretty funny, isn't he?
Yeah, he had a bunch of great one-line, sure.
A little zippy.
Yeah, he was very zippy. So then we fast forward, and they've been captured now, and everybody's Saw Gerrera's guys got Jin and Captain Andor, and they're walking into the new kind of Saw Gerrera's cave, and that's when we hear a new song, and they're watching the Twi'lek dancer. Remember that? When they first walk into that room, they're watching on a hologram the Twi'lek dancer, which is basically the dancer from Jabba's palace. Yep. Yeah, I'm glad you saw that.
Yep.
And then talk about this Bugala monster, which is this force-sensitive bastard that can touch you and figure out your feelings, right, and your memories.
Oh,
that was kind of interesting. I would definitely be afraid of that. And he's like, "Oh, you'll definitely lose your mind after this guy touches your face," which kind of scares the crap out of me. I don't know.
Yeah, that was creepy.
So how do you think he harnesses like his thoughts or whatever? Like, what happens with that? The guy just touches your face, and then what?
His little suckles from his tentacles just suck on your brain or something. I don't know.
I don't know. But how do you access that information is what I don't understand. Okay. Now, how do you access it from the sucky monster?
It's a intermolecular sort of thing. It just
He's like Jabba the Hutt with tentacles.
yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, it's pretty nasty.
I think they're cousins.
So either way, what happens is that they end up targeting this holy city, and that's great because then they take out this thing. We see Saul just face down his demons, and then all of a sudden the good guys get away on the ship. The U-Wing, first off, what'd you think about that one? Because that is potentially made in the same factory as the X-Wing. Did you guys like that?
Yeah, it's a new flying apparatus. It didn't really have any offense. Whenever the U-Wing spiced me up too much. But as soon as the X-Wing, tell you what, man, I was feeling that.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, I was feeling that too. What do you think about Vader's castle?
Listen, real quick, the U-Wing and the Y-Wing are boner killers. The Y-Wing is definitely a boner. And then as far as Darth Vader,
his castle.
talking about his
castle. No, his castle. We're talking about his castle. So they cut away from where Jyn Erso's dad died. Remember? And then the next scene they went to was Krennic going to Darth Vader's castle. And it was on the lava planet. Remember that? It was Mustafar.
Yeah.
So like the funny thing about that is that why would you, if you think about it, like he got maimed, dismembered, and totally messed up on Mustafar. Why would he go back there? Right?
Why not?
That's why he built, right? Because that's why he built this castle there, is because he, as we found out from the previous novels, where he gets his power from dwelling on his pain, right? So he built his home there on that weird planet, which you think would be wrong, but he did it. But I thought it was very neat.
Do you think helmet looks kind of cheesy now?
Well, you saw the red lenses.
Yeah.
More so than ever.
Like he was cool, but he kind of felt cheesy.
Yeah.
And the whole whatever his name is, the voiceover, it just kind of felt cheesy to me. Like Kylo Ren looks badass, but
yeah,
back at Darth Vader, like, yeah, he was badass, and I was super stoked to really see him in the with today's technology to really show his power compared to back in the 70s where you but you couldn't really he could choke you out with the Force, but you really showed it in this movie.
Well, you know what I thought was cheesy is when you saw Darth Vader walk away talking to Krennic, and all of a sudden he turned and he was like, "Mah."
Yeah, he's like, yeah, and now.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, well, he didn't, like, he doesn't always do this, right? Like, doesn't he? In the old one, he just looked at you, and all of a sudden you're like,
yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah.
I felt like this was unnecessary, but they showed it for some reason, whatever. So
I was. Don't get me wrong, I was pretty giddy when that happened.
Yeah.
I was like,
yeah, so was I. Because at that point, that was the only Vader we got.
Yeah.
So just yeah.
Oh, I called it.
No, we called it. We called it very well. So a couple of these things, just fast forwarding through these. The 16 Easter egg that we had, we saw Yavin Base, we saw C-3PO, and we saw R2-D2. We saw Chopper. Did you see Chopper?
Oh, where?
Chopper was before you saw R2-D2 and C-3PO when they first panned into the base and Jim was walking through in handcuffs. Chopper went through on her left side, and you could see him right there, clear as day. Yeah, clear as day. You saw. Yeah. Clear as day, you saw Chopper. There's plenty of X-Wings. There was Y-Wings. There was all sorts of crap in there. We saw Bail Organa, number 17, which is badass because we hadn't seen Bail since the prequels, which is awesome. So Jimmy Smits came back, saw them, talked a little bit, and then he said, "Oh, I've got to go home to Alderaan where he gets blown up. You should probably leave." We saw Yavin Base, of course. Oh, Mon Mothma, number 20 here. We saw Mon Mothma come back, and she was the same actress that was in the prequels. Came back for this movie, Guinevere O'Reilly. So that's pretty neat that she looked very much like Mon Mothma, but was still back in this movie as Mon Mothma. So I thought that was very neat. 21 K2SO, he said that he had a bad feeling about this when he got cut off towards the end of the line. Though he mentioned that, which is in every single one of the movies.
Star Wars. Yep.
Every single Star Wars. So he said that. And 22, bro. Who was in the back of the tank?
Oh, Darth Vader.
Darth Vader, my man. My dog Vades. We knew it. We called that.
The guy in the robe was nobody.
Right, nobody. I did not call that. I thought that was bullshit. That was a wasted moment. I think they could have put somebody with more gravitas in there, and they didn't.
Way too much hype into that scene.
Yeah. Because you only saw a very fraction of, but you saw that piece that we pulled out of that clip, right? The making the monsters of. They must have put that in there just to tease us wetter whistles and make us really feel like that's who it was, because we all called it. That's what it was.
Yep. Absolutely.
How badass was that Battle of Scarif, number 23? That was pretty sweet because them sneaking in there was awesome, and the hammerhead that was used to drive that ship into there. What do you think about that scene? Yeah,
that was incredible. The whole thing, as soon as they got there, I got the feeling like, here we go. Here's the big
here we go.
It's gonna be awesome.
Well, the funny thing is that
I didn't even think about like the X flying in and like causing destruction, like the firefights in the air or in space. Like, that was really great.
Well, the funny
not much fighter action, but still great.
Well, the best part about it is that Blue Squadron made an appearance there, and basically. Blue Squadron wasn't the only one that made an appearance. They also brought Red Squadron and Gold Squadron in, 2 units that survived to hit the Death Star. Plus, Red and Gold leaders appeared for the battle, and it was also a quasi explanation as to why Luke ended up as Red 5, because the original Red 5 perished in that battle, which is cool because he died, and then Luke was able to be Red 5 at the same time. Number 24 that we have on our list here is that unused footage from A New Hope was used. Basically, the Gold leader, John Vander, of the Red leader and the Red leader, Garvin Davis, showed up in the battle as repurposed footage. So if you notice that, they showed the same old fat guy in the old X-Wing, and he was like, Red leader, Green leader, Gold leader. It was those were the same guys, and that was unused footage from the 70s that they threw in there.
No kidding.
Yeah, you could have called it. Did you not notice it when they showed him? You were like, okay, that's the guy. No, that's the guy. If you
like, all I can think of, so like Red 5, or is that correct?
No, Red 5 died. It's Gold leader and Red leader.
Yeah, so Gold leader, Red leader, Blue leader, whatever. All I could think of was Red 5. I was like, okay. So I was trying to think of, how is this going to explain how Luke Skywalker becomes Red 5? And it's just the guy dies. Like,
right.
That's, really going to depth. But I kept like nudging laughing.
Yeah.
Red 5, here, Red 5, great for Red 5.
But Gold leader. Yeah, Gold leader was the Y-wing, I believe, and Red leader was the X-wing. And the red leader footage was from 1977. It was just unused footage from the original A New Hope.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that was really good. And, well, I saw it when I saw the footage of him in that. I'm like, that's the exact same pilot from A New Hope. I'm like, that's so weird. And then as I looked it up, I was like, oh my God, that literally is the exact same guy.
Yep.
So moving on, we had 25 is the Ghost from Rebels. They mentioned Syndulla as our point number 27. Basically on Yavin 4, the Rebels head off to Scarif, and someone says General Syndulla over the intercom, which is a cool callback to Rebels. Then basically the two last things that I want to talk about is that ending. Holy mother effing shit.
Yeah.
Did we not call that to a mother effing T?
We did. And I was excited, and I knew everyone would perish.
Yeah.
Which was fun. I like how they went out. They did good. They accomplished the mission at all costs, and they were able to finish. And we kind of discussed this off camera, but we're like, well, so does the Death Star only destroy certain cities right now, and it gains power? And I said, well, I'm pretty sure it destroyed Jeddah. Like, that's gone. And then the little city right there where they're fighting, I think they just destroyed that, if I'm correct or not. I'm not.
So what I think for both was that basically Tarkin pushed Krennic. And if you read Catalyst, again, Tarkin's always trying to make Krennic look bad. And so Tarkin pushed Krennic into test firing on Jeddah. And he destroyed that city of Jeddah. Yeah. Now, when you destroy a city from the Death Star, you basically take out a continent. So it's not that the whole planet is gone. It's literally like, 20% of the planet is just decimated. And that's what they did with that test fire. So the second test fire was when they were just going to clear out Scarif. And they said, well, screw it. We don't want them to get the plans off there. So just blow it to hell. And they test fired for the second time. So it didn't destroy didn't destroy the planet, but it decimated everything within that, multi-million mile mark. That's what I think happened, because it's definitely didn't blow up the whole planet, but those are two test trials. Because in Catalyst, the first test trial they shot off, it did destroy a city, but it almost destroyed the Death Star as well. It murdered like 20,000 of the people that were building it, and it backfired, and it was terrible. But that's all in the Catalyst book. When I said that ending, what I was referring to was the Tantive 4.
So, okay. All right. I'll jump into this.
Get it.
So, this party, and one of my higher ups is a big Star Wars fan, and he went to the midnight showing. And we were at this long table eating Christmas dinner, and he looked down at me and he said, "Hey, Mirt, you played Force Unleashed 2?" I said, "Yes, Gunnery Sergeant. I've seen Force Unleashed. I played it." He's like, "You remember the Darth Vader scene?"
Oh, like,
Jesus. Murder, like all the Jedis. I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Yeah, you're gonna like the movie." And I'm like, "Oh God,
mother!"
So, I'm like,
not again.
Not again. I'm going into it thinking like total massacre, and I didn't like this. What makes movies great is when I don't know what's gonna happen at the end. So at the end, where it ties into A New Hope, and Darth Vader
seamlessly
boards the ship, murks all the rebels. I'm like, okay, this is good. And happens, and it didn't blow my mind to the point of like what I thought was gonna happen. I thought they would just show like Darth Vader just murking a bunch of people just because. But the purpose of it, where he boards the ship, all that happens, then they pass off the plans, and then you see the white robe, and I looked up. I pushed Laos. I shoved him. I said, Leia, and it's her. And the CGI, for her and Tarkin were very well done.
Yeah, on point.
But I already knew Tarkin was CGI, so like looking at him, I could really pinpoint. I'm like, okay, they're really showing too much of him.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't show too much of him, because I can really tell. All right.
I feel like his face was like wider than it should have been, which is weird.
It looked weird.
Yeah.
But they did well for what they were trying to get at. And then seeing Leia there at the end, and then I'm like, it blended perfectly, and I give them much credit. Yep. Very, very.
First off, I just had to say, like, going back to that Vader scene, man, dude. First off, we called it. We absolutely called it. We're like, listen, my dog Vades, he's gonna get like 5 minutes of screen time, but part of those 5 minutes is just going to be slashing people. And dude, it was perfect because his armor restricts him from going up high, so he was deflecting and choking people and smashing them up on the ceiling and then smashing them down. And dude, it was exactly what I wanted. It was what we predicted. It was exactly what we needed to see for Vader, and I just thought that was top notch, man. And then all of a sudden, there's 5 guys, 4 guys, 3 guys, and he slides it through the door, and then all of a sudden the lightsaber goes straight through the door, right? And it's like, oh god, it's like, and he trips on the thing and he gets on there, and all of a sudden, boom, they get off, right? Oh, and he's just standing there, and it's like, but at the same time, you know what I was thinking? It brings back the Force Unleashed. I'm like, why doesn't, if Vader's standing there and he sees the ship go away, couldn't he just force the ship to come back to Tantive 4, right?
I don't know.
Why wouldn't he have done that? Because that would have meant that Princess Leia is on that ship, and he would have probably felt that or known that.
Yeah.
And so he could have just pulled it back and then gotten what he wanted.
I mean, if that happened, no movie, no song, of course.
Sure. And it's over.
But Leia, she gets the plans, she turns, and like, what does this mean? A New Hope. I'm like,
right.
Boom, there.
But she was very calm for saying that. I mean, she was very calm. That was a very calm thing to happen when Darth Vader was right there.
When there's a firefight all around her.
All around her. The other funny thing is that they did, before she even touched those, they go, hey, check the escape pods, which is how C-3PO and R2-D2 get off, right? And so they threw that in there too, which was pretty neat. So they had so many callbacks, but overall, how many Star Wars would you give this? 10 out of 10? 0, 5, 6, 7, 8? What do you think?
Yeah, for me, it's a 10 out of 10. I really enjoyed it. I really, and so I saw what episode, it was episode 3. I saw episode 3 on, it was like TBS, TNT, whatever. And I was watching the part where Anakin tells Mace Windu, hey, Palpatine's, he's a bad dude, whatever.
Yeah.
And then Mace Windu says, okay, you stay here, we'll go handle it. And then Mace Windu and the Jedi, there's like 7 of them, they confront Palpatine. And it's that fight where Mace Windu and Palpatine are going at it, and the glass breaks. Palpatine shoots his lasers or his lightning. And then Anakin shows up, because, it's the transition from him being Jedi to the dark side. And that whole, I couldn't even watch it. I was like, this is so bad. Yeah. So bad. Yeah. Disgusting bad that I can't watch anymore. So I turned it off.
Yeah. It's
And then this movie compared to that, that holds so much story,
so much levity. It's levity because it was the beginning of that. Yeah.
What they could have done with 1, 3, it's like, but seeing this movie, I was giddy the whole time. Granted, I was a little drunk. I had a couple beers, but I was giddy. I was excited. I was shoving Louse like, oh, yeah, this is going to happen. Like, oh, get ready. And I loved it. I loved every second of it. Yeah. So I'm going to give it a 10 out of 10.
Yeah, I agree, man. I don't know where it comes into play in terms of what exactly, I don't know, my favorites are. I love Empire, of course. I love A New Hope. Yeah. I love A New Hope because it was what started this. But man, if you look at this, when I went home, so I watched it and then immediately came home and watched A New Hope. This set up A New Hope like you would never believe. If you watch this one and then you watch A New Hope, it is seamless. It just goes straight through into the next story, and it just keeps going. And all the ties and the cues that you heard in Rogue One go right into the next one. So hats off to them for just making it as seamless as they did, because it's perfect, man. They did a great job, and I'm
really excited to see what episode 8.
Because
episode 7. episode 7 was okay.
Well, 30-year gap. It's a long hill to climb, but it was good. It was a good setup. So I want to see where episode 8 goes to.
Absolutely.
All right, man. So on that note, we're going to wrap up this extremely long version of our podcast here. Why tune in next week? Basically, what we did today is we had an interview with Mark Denote. He's the writer and author of a Florida craft beer guide. Very knowledgeable dude in terms of Florida craft beer. He also wrote a second book called Tampa Bay Beer Guide. A lot of stuff going on there. We're going to analyze what Mark's interview kind of showed us as to the Tampa Bay beer scene and what's going on with him. Of course, you can always find us on Amazon or via the link below, or you can hashtag Brewmasters Club Cast to participate in the conversation. We would appreciate you guys if you can leave us a review, leave us a comment, find us on YouTube, find us on Facebook, find us on Twitter at Brewmasters Club. Dano, where can they find you?
Guys, you can find me on Twitter at DT Mirt.
DT Mirt. Of course, you can always find the other guys too at their various Twitter handles. However, they are passed out for this evening, and this is a solo episode. We do appreciate you guys tuning in.
You've been listening to the official podcast of the Brewmasters Club, Craft Brews and Geek News. Grab a beer with the guys and be sure to subscribe to catch additional content. Add this podcast to your favorite RSS feed or iTunes. Chat with the guys on Twitter at Brewmasters Club and Facebook and online at www.brewmasters.club. Cheers!